All right, so I wasn't able to be here today in person in order to do the test review, but again, we're going to go over all 5 questions that were on yesterday's test review. Tomorrow's test will be very similar style to what you had on yesterday's test review. So again, same number of questions. It'll still be 5 different scenarios, about roughly 10 actual questions, because again, some scenarios had multiple parts. Again, the points would be awarded the same way, similar style questions as to like what's being asked, even though the scenarios will be completely different. So again, just look it over. If you need to, I'll be posting this video so that you can go back and watch something if there's something that you didn't get. But for this first question, we're looking at different movie streaming services, and we can only afford one of them. You're trying to decide between Netflix, Hulu, and Disney Plus. So it says, name at least 2 pieces of information that you should consider before you decide which service to buy. Now, this is a pretty open-ended question. So as long as your answer is logical and makes sense, you should get those points. Now, again, it's asking for at least 2, and it says it's worth 2 points. So you need to make sure that you do put at least 2 pieces of information there. Now, depending on what your interests are, again, you could say lots of different things here. So you might say money. All right. First off, it is saying that you can only afford one. So what is the actual price of each? That could be something that we need to consider. So what is the price for each? We also might want to consider if we can afford any one of them, and if none of them are out of the question, then what type of things do they have included? So what movies are included? All right. Again, if you're somebody that was like a parent, maybe you want more kids movies. So you might want to consider which one is more kid friendly. Which is more kid friendly. Again, there's lots of different things that you could consider here before actually deciding to buy. For the next one, explain how you would use the information to make a decision. All right. Well, if you can only afford one, then you might have to figure out what the price is for each and whether or not you can even afford any of the 3. So figure out if all options are affordable. All right. Now, again, that could be something that is going to be how you're going to make your decision. You could also be like, well, if you want to know which one's more kid friendly, you could actually go through and see like what options there are for kids. So things that you could do is, do they have separate kids accounts? Maybe are there things blocked for kids? Can you block non-kid friendly content? All right. And again, there's a lot of different things that you could do there. Both of these are pretty open-ended. So as long as your answers make sense, you should receive those points for those questions. Now, it got a little bit harder with the next question, but it said that we're attending Western University. So Western University is over here. This diagram should look familiar. We have done another problem that used this diagram before. So here's Western University. And then we were going to go visit our friend at University of Technology, which was way over here. There are a couple different ways that you can get from one university to the other. So we could choose to go from Western University, and I'll write in different colors here. So let's say we start off with purple. I could go from Western University down the road, around the lake this way to University of Technology. If we did that, we're going 8 kilometers from here to there. From Western University to Anstey, then another 8 kilometers around the lake. So for a total of 16. So I have 8 plus 8 equals 16. Then, and going a different route, we could go from Western University and choose to go around the lake this way, all the way around. Now, definitely don't think that's any shorter because we have 8. We have 1 in between Anstey and Lakeside. We have 5 between Lakeside and Northport. And then we have another 6 all the way around to University of Technology. So that one's much longer route. Let's see, we have a total of, that would be 11, 12, 20 kilometers. So much longer. Now there's one other option, and we saw this question before, so hopefully you remember the other option. But was it a good option for this question? Not as much as it was the last time we saw this map. So could go down and over to Nordport, and then from Nordport, you take the boat across, and we have 8 plus 1 plus 5 plus 3, which, when you're adding all those together, gives us 17. So for this one, what was the fastest route? It was actually the first one that we set up there. 16 kilometers would be the shortest distance that we traveled. Now, the second question doesn't actually say what is the shortest distance. It says what additional information would help determine which route was the fastest. So we've done quite a few problems that involved distance, time, and speed. So which one would allow us to get there the fastest? We'd have to consider the speed at which we were traveling as well. So maybe there's different speed limits along the road. Maybe the boat goes at faster than the cars can. So we need to consider speed limits of the road. We could consider speed of boat or ferry. Traffic patterns. There's nothing on this problem that says what way you can go around the lake. Maybe that road is only one direction all the way around the lake. So traffic patterns would be important here. Also, knowing when traffic is heavier and where traffic is heavier. Maybe this might be the shortest route, but maybe that way is the most traveled and has a high amount of traffic, which would actually cause it to be slower. So things like rush hour or how busy the roads are. So there's a lot of different things that you could take into account on that problem. Anything that would make one route faster speed-wise than the other, or make something slower, or you could even take into account maybe there's detours or road work or an accident. Again, we're just traveling this one time. You know, you might want to check something like Google Maps. All right. So again, lots of different things that you could say there that would get you credit. So again, A, there's a definite answer. B, much more open for interpretation. And again, as long as you had good reasons. Now notice, it does have a 2 there for a number of points. So I would expect that you would have at least 2 things listed and not just one thing. Remember, anytime you have a question that's worth more than 1 point, it's probably more than just one answer. So on number 3, in Elizabeth's recent holiday for flying around the world, she has stops at Tokyo, Auckland, and San Francisco. Now, when doing this, we saw this question before, and the previous question had asked how much time she had spent in the air. We don't care about her air time this time. The question this time is, which of the locations did she spend the most time and how long was she there? So what we are concerned with is what time did she arrive locally? And then what time did she depart? And we have to make sure that we're looking from, so here she arrived in Tokyo. So this is arrived in Tokyo. So this is arrival time in Tokyo. This is the departure time in Tokyo. So we're not looking in the same row for the values that we're subtracting. We have to go from one row to the next row in order to figure this out. So it's a little bit tricky on which numbers you were looking at. So for Tokyo, I'm gonna write it out over here. We were there from 8 Monday to 1600 on Tuesday. So from 8:30 to 1600, that's 7.5 hours. But yeah, so 7 hours, 30 minutes. Let me write that a little different. But that was just if it was Monday at 1600. We stayed until Tuesday. So we stayed a whole nother 24 hours. So together from Tokyo, or all together for Tokyo, we have 7 plus 24. That's a total of 31 hours and 30 minutes. Then for the next stop, we went from Wednesday, so Wednesday to Thursday. And again, it was more than 24 hours. So for Auckland, we went from 4 on Wednesday to 12 on Thursday. So from 4 to 4 the next day would be 24 hours. Plus we went an additional 4 to 8, that's another 8 hours. So we're doing 24 plus 8 this time. And that's going to give us a total of 32 hours in Auckland. So now one more stop. We had San Francisco. San Francisco. We stayed there from Thursday at 7, so 7 on Thursday, to Saturday at 6 o'clock. So 6 o'clock on Saturday. So from Thursday to Friday, that's already 24 hours. And then if we stayed all the way till Saturday, we're only one more hour shy of another 24 hours. So we could say 24 plus another 23. We definitely stayed the most time in San Francisco. How long was it? Well, 24 plus 23, that'd be 47 hours in San Francisco. So we stayed in San Francisco for 47 hours. So almost 2 full days in San Francisco. All right. So again, those are both parts of that question. Now, I only put 1 point on that question. I probably should have made that worth more than 1 point. That should have been at least, because there's 2 parts to the question, plus there's a lot of work. That probably should have been a 3-point question. And I only put 1 thing there. So that was a typo. It was late when I made this. So that should have been a 3-point question. Point for work, point for the time, point for the city. All right. Number 4. on this one, we have a chart of ticket prices, and it says that we have a total of, now I'm not sure if you can see, oops, didn't mean to write that. I don't know if you can see the thing with my face there, so let me get rid of my face for a second. That might be in the way. All right, so the ticket price, or the ticket office has already taken in $6,750. What is the most tickets that they could have sold so far? So in order to figure that out, we'd want to divide that by the ticket that cost the least. And the ticket that cost the least on here is the child's ticket. So now, is it likely that they were all children's tickets? No. But it did not give you any other requirements as to having to have adult or anything with the child. So we don't know how old these children are. We don't know what the age limit is. Maybe they're all 17 years old going to this. Maybe we didn't need adult supervision. But if we divide that, so we have 6,750 divided by 25, we could have already sold at most 270 tickets. The fewest number of tickets would come from the most expensive. So if I took that same 6,750 and divided by the one that was the most expensive, which was the adult tickets, so only adults are going, 6,750 divided by 40. Now, we can't have part of a ticket. So this is something that we would have to round down on. So 168 tickets would be the fewest that we could have sold. All right, the last one. The local elementary school had decided to take students on a field trip to see the play. There are 42 students going and 8 adult chaperones. The principal was going to just buy 5 of the group rate tickets. Explain why this is not the best option for the show. Sorry. Explain why this is not the best option. Wow, typo there. Why it's not the best option and show justification. So, well, why is it not the best option? That doesn't guarantee it's the lowest price. So if we were to figure this out per ticket price, and let's say we took, there's 4 people in this family one, we have $120 divided by 4. This is $30 per ticket. Whereas if we did the $350 and divided by 10, this would be $35 per ticket. And then children also are only $25 per ticket. So most of these are students. So most of them are going to be able to get in at the children's price. The group rate is much higher than the children's price. Plus, you also have the family amount. You could get a discount when getting adult tickets by grouping some of the adults with the family. So this wants justification as to why. Well, let's say we bought 5 groups of 10, like they had said they did. So 5 times 350. All right. 5 times 350 gives us 1750. So that's how much the principal wanted to pay. If we were to do it with, and again, you could have shown almost any other work to get a lower price. It didn't have to be the lowest price. It just had to be lower than what the principal was going to pay. So showing at least the principal's price in comparison to a different alternative would have been fine. So let's say we went with the family. All right. We had 8 chaperones. So we're going to buy 4 of the family prices at 120. Well, 4 of the family prices at 120, 4 times 120, that gives us 480. And then Well, that takes care of all the adults, and that also took care of 8 of the children as well, right? So we have 8 fewer children out of those 42. So 42 minus the 8 is going to leave us with 34 more kids. So now take those 34 other kids, times it by just the child price. So times 25, that's 850. If I add 850 plus the 480, that's 1330. So this is the price that I could pay. That would probably be the cheapest price. And this is the price the principal wants to pay. By going with a different route, I could save, what's the difference there? 1750 minus 1330, $420. So we could save $420 by buying them with 4 families and 34 child. Again, we have the numbers for our justification. We have how much we're going to save. So this is why it is not a good idea. So we have an explanation as to why it's not a good idea, and we also have the numbers to prove why it's not a good idea. So something like that would earn you 3 points. All right, let's go on to the next one. So number 5. So we had another chart. Now this wasn't a chart that we'd seen before, but this was straight from online from information about McDonald's. So we had some McDonald's hamburgers. Which of the products shown has the most calories in the sandwich? And yes, ignore all my horrible spelling that was on the paper, because again, I was tired when I wrote it and there were some mistakes. But which of the following products shown has the most calories? So again, this is just asking for the most overall calories in a sandwich out of the ones that are shown. Again, key, out of the ones that are shown. McDonald's might have other offerings, but based on just this. So here, this column over here at the end is calories. Which one of these sandwiches has the most calories? So it's just identifying the correct data. This one has 730 calories. So which one had the most? It was the double quarter pounder with cheese. Double quarter pounder with cheese. All right. So again, that's a lot of calories. All right. Now, the last question here was, what is the highest percent fat to weight in any of the sandwiches listed, and which sandwich is it? So if we were to compare, again, fat to weight, fat is in this column right here, and then the weight is over here in ounces. So you had to divide. So each time you had to take the fat and divide by the number of ounces. So just running through the list, 9 divided by 3.7 is, it rounds to 2.4. 12 divided by 4.2 is 2.8. 11 divided by 6.1 is 1.8. 9.5 divided by 6.1 is 1.5. Actually 1.6 if we round that up. 12 divided by 7 is 1.7. 17.5 divided by 9.9 is 1.76, so that rounds up to 0.8. And then 13.5 divided by 7.8 is 1.7. So just looking at this, even though the double quarter pounder was the one that had the most calories and it also had the most fat overall, was it the most fat per actual weight? So compared to the size of it. And no, it wasn't. If you notice, compared to the weight of what you're eating, the hamburger and the cheeseburger actually had more fat percentage wise. So surprisingly, it's going to be the cheeseburger with the 2.8. So again, what's the highest sandwich? It was the cheeseburger. And again, that might be surprising, but that is what it is. And that was actual data from a McDonald's pamphlet. So kind of interesting. All right. Again, tomorrow is your test. So make sure, again, look this back over. If you have not turned this in online yet, make sure you turn it in online so that you can get credit for it. And again, you need to make sure that you try your best on the test tomorrow. Make sure you try to answer everything you can. And if you can narrow down your answer choices, but you don't know the exact answer, again, it doesn't hurt to guess. But again, you want to try and get as many points possible. If you see a question that's worth more than 1 point, make sure you have more than just an answer. All right, that's it for today. Have a good one.